We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm pretty excited about this. Worked on it for a few weeks. I think it's necessary not only for my previous clients that have been with me going through this. I think it's a good educational process to really, we focus every week on these calls on different topics, but sometimes I think we get away from the real underlying issue in regards to the visceral fat and the struggle with belly fat after the age of 35. It starts around 35 and it escalates pretty aggressively after that. It starts in the 30s, but then it really starts to progress as you move forward. And I think a lot of times we just take for granted that, well, this is fat. I've been dealing with this all my life. It's a different ball game when we get to this age group. Basically, most of your life you've been dealing with subcutaneous fat. That's that fluffy stuff on the outside of your belly. It's not attractive, but that's the stuff that you used to be able to take it down by doing fad diets or extreme dieting or low carbonate or even more workout. And then all of a sudden, you start getting into after the age of 30, all of a sudden it becomes harder and harder. And you're wondering, why is this not working anymore? Well, what you've got going on behind the abdominal, which I'm going to show you in this PowerPoint presentation, is visceral fat. And did everybody get the stuff the documents I sent to you? Okay. This isn't fluff. This is straightforward stats that I came up with so you could read right to the point what's going on. Visceral fat, cardiovascular issue, metabolic disorders, health problems, high blood pressure. I've started coaching women in their 40s that all of a sudden have never had high blood pressure. All of a sudden they've got off the chart high blood pressure. And we're going to go over why that is moving forward. So all these handouts here are for your self knowledge to read. I'm not going to go over these in particular for time purposes, but I really hope you'll dive in and read some of the stuff. So let me share my screen with you here. All right. Can everybody see this? Can everybody see this screen? Yes. Thumbs up. Okay. Thanks, Allison, for telling me. All right. I'm hoping everyone else can see this. All right. So basically, what we're talking about here is what used to work doesn't work anymore in perimenopause. Okay. Things like losing belly fat. Now, everyone, first of all, especially women, the first thing you notice is the belly fat situation. But what we're talking about more deeper that sometimes women do not recognize as moving into the perimenopause phase or perimenopause. And then some people say, well, I'm in menopause. Yes, but you still have the aftermath of what happened in perimenopause. I want that to be clear. Just because you may be in menopause, there's a big discrepancy there. People always say, well, I'm in menopause. Most women are in menopause. Most women are actually in perimenopause, and that's all the way up until the cycle stops. That's when you go into menopause. But everyone loosely uses the word menopause. And so it doesn't matter though. Either or, you still are experiencing this situation here, or you've ended your cycle and you have the aftermath of still having this. This doesn't just go away because you moved into menopause. It doesn't magically quit. Do symptoms die down? Sure. But the belly fat, sleep problems, low energy, feeling off, anxiety, they're kind of connected. Depression, anxiety are like twin sisters. They hang out together and tinker with each other. And then you're doing the same effort, you're just getting different results. That's the biggest problem and the frustration is you start doing what used to work and you're finding it no longer works anymore. So moving forward, before we talk about food, workouts, belly fat, sleep, or energy, I need to say this clearly, okay? If you're doing the same things that used to work for your body and now nothing seems to work, it's not your fault, okay? Because the women I've coached over 4 decades tend to blame themselves. And right here, I'm not talking about you're not lazy, you're not undisciplined or lacking willpower. Hormonal shifts change the rules. Okay. Simply put, estrogen levels started to dive and hormones start to get a little bit wonky. Okay. Because of the estrogen dropping, cortisol levels get to run rampant, and there's a whole slew of things that go with this. So basically, what's happening right now in your body has very little to do with effort. Now, hear that clearly. What's happening in your body right now has very little to do with your effort. You want to, you're putting in the work, And that's why a lot of women at this age quit because they're like, well, I guess this is just the way it is. I don't know how many of my clients have said doctors have told them that's just what happens in this phase of life. Okay. And I work with six doctors. They actually don't study this in depth like I have for over 4 decades. So they really don't understand the process of the visceral fat. They know it's there. They just don't know how to get rid of it or start to lower it. So everything has to do with hormonal shifts and that no one warned you about. Okay. And does this sound familiar? A lot of you may relate to this. Stubborn belly fat that won't move, waking up tired no matter what you do. You wake up exhausted, come out of the day. And we all know that's a bummer to wake up already feeling exhausted, thinking, I've got to get through this day already feeling like this. It's not even at the end of the day. Trouble sleeping or staying asleep. It's always around. I took on a new client yesterday, sleeping problems. She's actually from Australia. And I said, you waking up around 3 a.m.? She said, yeah, how do you know that? I go, it's the magic number, right? The 2 a.m., 3 a.m. wake up. And then are you going back to sleep? Or are you wheeling around all the things that you got to do or that happened the day before? And most of you can relate to that. Feeling irritable, foggy, or not like yourself, but you're doing all the right things and feeling worse. And that's the big kicker there and can lead to quitting and just throwing in the towel and saying, I'm just going to live my life like that, which my job today is to hopefully educate you to understand that it doesn't have to be that way. So I want you to know you're not broken. Some people think, well, I'm just broken because I'm older and this doesn't work anymore. Okay. So I want you to hear that. I want you to know you're not broken. Your body's responding to a new internal environment. Okay. The whole inner workings of your system right now have changed. And, that's the part that once you understand the environment, everything finally starts to make some kind of sense. All right. And if I do my job today, it will do that just for you. So here's what actually changed. Okay. This is pretty cool. And I'm hoping I got it at a very level that you can understand it in some basic terms. So this is the part no one explains though, right here. The body that you had in your 20s and 30s followed one set of rules. What were those rules? Low carb, excessive exercise, go run. Running was a big thing. I could go run and just lose the weight. Okay. And those were a set of rules that used to work until they didn't. The body you're in now during perimenopause follows a whole different set of rules, totally different than what you have been indoctrinated. And the main one is low carbs. That's the biggest, wrong approach when it comes to this phase. Although you've been told low carbs or carbs are bad, or intermittent fasting, keto, all those things out there. Okay, and the problem is most women are still using the old rules, even in this age category. So using those rules can actually get you to where you're frustrated and actually just, again, throwing the towel. So estrogen becomes unpredictable. All right. Progesterone declines. Cortisol has more of an impact. Cortisol is your worst enemy. And women, you have this disadvantage way over men when it comes to the cortisol. Okay. Everything that you do that causes stress and anxiety, low carbing causes stress and anxiety, excessive workout, causes stress and anxiety. That raises cortisol levels, which is asking your body to store that visceral fat by the loads, the one behind the abdominal wall, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Blood sugar is harder to regulate because you are doing low carbs. Blood sugar is not stabilized. And the only way you're going to lose visceral fat and subcutaneous fat is by stabilizing blood sugar. Okay. And that's where someone comes in that actually is a dietary therapist like myself who shows you how to do that. It's just a different ballgame. And recovery is slower. Obviously, as we age, recovery is slower. But what do you do when you start getting belly fat all of a sudden? Some people are like, the last 2 years, this belly fat has just come on. And let me tell you what's going on with the belly fat. The reason you're seeing it more in the belly as you get older is your body is trying to produce estrogen. So it pulls fat from your hips and your thighs and pushes it into the midsection. Not, aesthetically appealing, I get it, but it's its last ditch effort to get some estrogen going. And that's how it does it, by pushing the fat there. And so then you're looking down like, where did this come from all of a sudden? So these are the things that happen that cause this stress on your body. Things like eat less, cut carbs, do more cardio. That's the number one go-to. Push harder, or let's skip meals, because we are of the mentality, eat less to weigh less. That did used to work. It actually reverses the process in this phase. It actually makes you fatter. Because of the visceral fat, just loves when you do these things, if I could put it into a comical explanation. But your body here doesn't hear fat loss, it hears stress. Again, your body hears stress when you're doing those things. In stress, female body does not burn fat, it stores it. And this is where the rules have changed, okay? It starts to actually store fat when you start stressing it. And I know when we hear stress, you're thinking, well, today everyone's stressed out. Yes, I'm not talking about that kind of stress. If you take this kind of stress on top of the worldly stress, now you got the double whammy and you're just driving cortisol levels up and the visceral fat continues to grow. You're out there working out harder, you're barely eating, you're starving, low carbs, all this stuff, and it's getting worse. The more stress, the bigger the belly fat, and the more the sleeping irregularities, the more that you have brain fog, energy levels drop, you're moody, you don't feel like yourself. It all compounds over this direction you may be going in. Okay, why belly fat shows up first, and why this is more than vanity, ladies, especially at this age. When I'm actually talking to a potentially new client, I like to hear what's your number one reason. What do we do? I want to be healthier and I want to feel better. I do want to look better, but it's not at the top of the list, maybe like it was in your 20s and 30s. Okay. So let's talk about the belly because that's usually where women notice the biggest change. And this isn't just vanity weight. What's happening here is about visceral fat. Okay, so I want you to pay close attention to this part. The visceral fat weight behaves differently, requires a totally different solution, and it doesn't play nice. I say it all the time. It is not a nice thing. You didn't used to have visceral fat. You used to have the subcutaneous fat. Now you got both. So you got the double whammy going on. You got the one pushing in the abdominal area around the heart, lungs, and organs and squeezing. Then you got the subcutaneous fat that you're still dealing with. So everything starts to move even at an aggressive rate, which a lot of you may have recognized before. So actually, this fat is different than the fat you pinch. That's the subcutaneous fat. It's deeper behind the abdominal wall and it wraps around your organs. It's extremely sensitive to stress hormones caused by cutting carbs, too much cardio based exercise, and restrictive eating. So let me give you a little viewpoint here on this. Where we at here? Okay. Some of you that are my clients have seen this before. Those of you that are new, I want you to see everything you see in yellow right here that I'm using my cursor. That's visceral fat. See this orange reddish line right here? That's your abdominal wall. That's your abs, your muscle, whatever you want. Okay. Outside here is where the subcutaneous fat is. This is the stuff you've been dealing with most of your life until you got into your 30s and moving forward. Back here, this stuff, you didn't have this before. This is starting to get around the liver. It's getting around the stomach area, abdominal cavity, small intestines. And then look back here, lower back. I don't know how many women I've coached when I first start with them. I've got lower back pain. Have you had surgery to hurt your back? No. I just lately have 2 years, my back started hurting right there. Visceral fat forming in the lower back area causes back problems without you even having a bad back. When it starts to squeeze around the organs here, ladies, this is where this sheet I gave you, telling you all the different things that can happen, starts to occur or possibly brew as you get older if it's untreated. That's straight up facts. Okay, we got heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes is big time. I've seen women in their 40s become type 2 diabetic out of nowhere thinking, what happened? I was never, diabetic. Right here, it's always leads back to visceral fat. But all the things I listed in this handout tells you what visceral fat does. That's why I say it doesn't play nice. So as this starts to grow and squeeze around the heart and lungs, you start breathing harder, cardiovascular, wondering why I'm out of breath, why I'm tired. Right here, restriction. It's restricting your whole body. So when estrogen declines and cortisol stays elevated, the body goes into protection mode. So let's go to the next slide here. So here, when estrogen declines and cortisol stays elevated from stress, the body goes into protection mode. All right. And this is why it stores fat, especially in the abdominal area, because the body thinks it needs safety, not leanness. Now, that one's a hard one to wrap your mind around. I've talked about it extensively. Your body is in a mode of if it feels safe, just think about in life. When you feel safe and you feel everything's going good, you relax, right? If we feel threatened or we're scared or we have a fear, it could be financial, it could be relational, it could be anything like that. When the body doesn't feel safe, it stores fat. especially in this age group. Okay. It just does. That's why women will say, I barely eat. I work out more than ever. I'm doing everything right. And yet the belly stays. Nothing's working. It's because back to number one, it stores fat, especially in the abdominal area, because the body thinks it needs safety, not leanness. I know that sounds weird that it accumulates fat, but it's primitive. It's its way of actually protecting you and keeping you in survival mode and keeping you alive by storing fat. Okay. The explanation isn't fun, but it's the fact. It's how it works. So this isn't because you're doing too little. Again, it's because your body feels unsafe. Let's move into the real risk of ignoring it. Okay. This is not to scare you. This is not fearing. This is factual. And this is all straight out of medical journals. You can research yourself. But visceral fat isn't just frustrating. Left unchecked, it's associated with heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, certain kinds of cancer, inflammation, big time. Everyone has experienced that. Insulin resistance, that's when you're like eating and it don't matter what, and you're doing low carb, you become insulin resistant because that doesn't work in this phase. Blood sugar instability, poor sleep, low energy, dementia has been linked to this, lower back pain, liver disease, sometimes premature death if left untreated. Visceral fat brought on by perimenopause does not play nice. I always say that. It's not a fun fat. It just isn't. Subcutaneous fat used to play nice. Visceral fat, not so much. So, moving on. Let me get here. So, this isn't just about the weight on the scale. Do we want to lose weight? And my clients that are with me here today will tell you we want to lose weight. We want it to come down, but it becomes a byproduct of when I'm coaching. We lose the weight, but this is more about the scale. This is how you feel every day and the direction your health is moving over the next 10, 20, 30 years. That's what I want you to take away from here. If anything is, I need to be healthy, energetic, and start thinking about the next 10, 20, 30 years of my life. Okay. We're moving into that area where it's like, hey, I don't want to be tired, broke down, on medication, all those things because of not knowing how to address this time in my life in regards to getting my weight off, getting rid of the visceral fat, feeling better, having more energy, sleeping better, all those things. So here's the important part I want you to hear. Your body's not punishing you. Where did I get that from? 4 decades of coaching women who think their body decided to punish them because they didn't take better care of it in their younger years. That's farthest from the truth. Okay. It really is. And I want you to hear that. It's not what you did in the past. Now, maybe you were somebody that kind of took it lightly. And now all of a sudden, when we get into this age group, we're like, hey, I need to really focus on this. Okay. But it's not about what you did. It's when all this stuff changes, estrogen starts going here, hormones start moving around, all these things, it impacts the whole internal system. And so what you are right now experiencing is not, hey, should have took better care of your body. It's not punishing you. It's actually pretty intelligent. It's communicating with you. Okay, it's giving you feedback saying, hey, I need help. I need support. What you've been doing, what used to work, doesn't work for me anymore. I need you to find a different solution, letting you know you need to work with it in this phase of your life, not against it. Now, what does that mean? Working with it is finding the solution that works with your particular body, your lifestyle, what you've got going on. Used to, everyone could take a cookie cutter system and say, this one's the keto, this one's the intermittent fasting, this one's the Atkins diet back when it was popular. They're all the same thing. They just rotate different names. Everyone can kind of do the same thing. And that's working. Back then, it just worked. You're in a place now where you have to work with your body. And guess what? Everyone here on the call, it's a different ball game working with your body. What works for Audrey's body, who is my client, doesn't work with Allison's body. Okay. What works for Allison doesn't work for Lisa, who's my client. It's all a different approach, individual. And it has to be that way because all of you live different lifestyles, have different stressors, have kids, no kids, different ages. So, what used to work doesn't work anymore. That means the same old that everyone's doing. It has to work with your flow of your body in this phase of life. Now, I'm hoping I'm making that clear and it's making sense to you. Okay. Why most women stay stuck. This is the big one. Okay. Here's why most women stay trapped. They start blaming themselves, which leads to trying harder. Okay. I've worked with women, and part of my coaching is working on underlying issues. I don't just eat this, work out, lose weight. Okay. This is working from the inside out. You have to have that approach in this phase of your life. Okay. It doesn't work the other way around anymore. But starting to blame yourselves, then I'm going to try harder. Well, I'm not working hard enough. I've been slacking. I haven't been taking care of myself. So I'm going to work out 5 days a week. I'm going to cut my carbs and all that stuff. I'm going to do it. And that's when the willpower and that confidence, comes in, which doesn't last very long, right? They restrict more and they restrict more. They jump from plan to plan, but this isn't working, and they start panicking. Here's where empathy comes in on my part. I've coached so many women that are in a fear-based situation of nothing works anymore. Used to, something worked. I'm trying everything and nothing's worked. Actually, I'm getting bigger as I try harder. And that can be a scary place. Why is that? Because you now think, oh my gosh, when is this going to stop? Is this, where am I going to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now? It's just going to continue to get bigger. And I'm really trying here more than probably I have in my whole life. And that's when fear sets in. And jumping from plan to plan is in panic mode when I see that. They follow the advice meant for a 25-year-old. Okay. That's the worst part is I can meet with somebody for a 10-minute call, just kind of see where they're at. Well, I've got this friend of mine and in the gym, and how old is she? Oh, she's 25 and she does this and this, and she's a trainer and she's wanting me to do this and that and the other. I have the most utmost respect for people out there, trainers who are trying to help people in the world, but a 25-year-old cannot talk to a 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 and up female whose hormones are starting to change and she hasn't experienced it yet. And she can't actually go into the physiology and say, okay, wait, look, this isn't working anymore. Okay, so you got to quit taking advice from someone who's not in this phase of life and they stay stuck. If not, start accumulating more fat and getting bigger. Perimenopause is not something you can out discipline. Okay. You got to take that away. It's no longer about discipline anymore. Okay. And my clients will tell you we have a rule called the 80-85% rule. You've got to relax and say, we do have to have a plan. It has to be about you. But 80-85% is what we need to be effective. That takes a lot of stress off. Well, why do I do that? Because the lower I can get your stress in this area that I coach, the lower your cortisol, the more you start losing the belly fat, the more you start sleeping better, the hot flashes die down, your night sweats start dying down, all that kind of stuff. So it requires a specific strategy. I mean, that's just, the hard truth there. Has to be a strategy that works with your life. So let's go into perimenopause requires a strategy. That means understanding how much to eat, not how little. Okay, if you're new with me, I want you to hear that. My clients that are on here right now will tell you probably when I made out their menus and put their portions in conjunction with their life and who they are, most of them were like, that's a lot of food. And maybe have never eaten that much food before, yet they lose weight eating that because we speed the metabolism. They're eating carbs, plenty of carbs, and it's not how little. We are trained and you are indoctrinated to eat less to weigh less. And I say this, people in Ethiopia also eat less to weigh less, and we don't want to look that way. And as you get older, this becomes more aggressive. The muscle tissue loss, bone loss, everything starts to actually cannibalize your body if you don't take control of it right now with this cortisol hormone. Estrogen used to be your friend. It was your protector. It's like a man's testosterone. It used to protect you and keep all this stuff in check where the body didn't cannibalize off muscle or take bone density down, or type 2 diabetes. Okay. But when visceral fat comes in, along with cortisol, it starts to aggressively maneuver the body in a different direction if you don't start doing something about it in regards to how your body's working today. So, how to train without spiking cortisol. This is a big one. The go-to is let me work out more. Let me work out 5 days a week. My clients work out 3 days a week, 40-minute workouts. That's it. They may have a bonus workout, but it's more strength related, more weightlifting than it is cardio. I'm not against cardio, and there's a way that we have moderation with that, but hard-based hit workouts, going at it, jumping and all that kind of stuff, that is just spiking stress in the body. It's not about the exercise. You've got to have a balance there, strategically put in place that doesn't spike your cortisol. So people say, well, you're talking about exercise stresses the body anyway. Yes. Too much of it, though, works against you in this phase of your life. Okay. That's if you're a 5-day workout person, most likely you've got cortisol levels spiking and your belly fat's probably aggressively moving forward and you don't know why. And I can guarantee you somebody on here could relate to that. We've got to find a balance there that yes, we need to exercise the body. We need to focus on muscle, okay, because it's your fat burning machine and it's your number one friend in this phase of life. And we do want to get our heart rate up, but we've got to have a balance and check there. So too much working out spikes cortisol from the stress of the exercise. How to stabilize blood sugar so you burn visceral fat. This is a key. Being a dietary therapist, I stabilize blood sugar with my clients by putting the portions in check that work with their body. Again, Audrey could have 4 ounces on something. Lisa could have 6 ounces. Allison could have, 8 ounces. I mean, it's different for each individual, but it's got to be in a place where the body stabilizes blood sugar, which then releases visceral fat into the bloodstream. It floats around and burns up into the muscle, which is the mitochondria. Okay. And the muscle that you're strength training and at a safe level actually needs that for fuel. So there's an actual system that works with this. How to strategically sleep through the night. Okay. I help my clients, we go to bed at a certain time, we wake up, we work through this, finding a pattern where you actually train your body to get better sleep. And the biggest thing is how to calm the nervous system. I'll tell you that Lisa, one of my clients here, said, she now recognizes anything she does now, is that going to raise my cortisol level? And do I need to really get upset about it? Can I handle it differently? It's helped her to work through her whole life, recognizing I don't want to raise my cortisol levels if I don't have to. And it serves her. And these are the kind of things you have to start working with and becoming aware of to help work through this phase. Most women don't fail because they don't try. I'll tell you, every female I've ever coached in 4.5 decades in perimenopause area, they're trying. They want to. And it's actually, that's what's depressing is how hard they are trying and nothing's working for them. They fail because they're trying to do this alone without the full picture. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, I'm no different. We are creatures of pride. We are creatures of ego. I don't know how many women finally raise their hand and say, I need help, but it's like so hard because I know what I need to do. I've done this before and I get it, but you don't know how to put it all together in this phase. That's a specialty coming into this phase. I mean, it's like if you have a heart problem, you go to a heart surgeon. If you have teeth problems, you go to a dentist. Okay. When you get into this phase of life, reaching out is not shameful. It should not be embarrassing and it should not make you feel less than. It's actually a sign of strength, in my opinion. I've had to do it with my anxiety. A lot of you know I wrote a book called The Day I Died and Felt Anxiety. I had to ask for a coach, but I did try it for 8 months on my own. And it's the most wasted 8 months of my life. I look back and go, why didn't I just put my pride down and go say, I need help? Okay. But they're not getting the full picture either. They're just seeing what happening in one area. Okay. What actually works now? Okay. Here's the part I want you to pay attention to because I'm going to try to help you really put this in your mind of what actually works so you're educated on that. No extremes, no punishment. What do you mean by punishment? Women tend to believe that I've coached before say, I've done so bad, I deserve to be punished. What do I mean by that? Punished in regards to I need to not eat, I need to work out 5 days a week and never go out to a restaurant again. I need to punish myself because this is why I'm getting fatter. It's not why you're getting fatter and the belly fat and the tiredness, all that. Okay. No cutting foods you love. I have a system called the FYL system, the food you love system. My clients will tell you they're eating foods they love. I'm talking anything. I don't even know what their menus are. I created them, put them in the right portions, but they're all different. Audrey may like eggs with cheese. Lisa may like beef with mushrooms and gravy, bread. I mean, everything's, you've got to understand you have to eat food you love. I've got a client that was on the, what's it called, where she went gluten-free. She was gluten-free for 3 years because the doctor told her to. She was malnutrition, miserable. When I got with her, I said, I want you to pick out all the foods you love off these sheets I'm going to give you. Every kind of protein, every kind of carbohydrate, breads, pasta, steak, beef, fish, whatever's out there. It's in the world. It's on my menu. She said, you're crazy. And now she is enjoying a life of bread. Bread was her thing. She went without bread for 3 years. She's eating bread. She's eating food. She feels great. She no longer has her problems. Her autoimmune systems are like down to zero. because of the way we stabilize blood sugar. So no cutting foods you love. Okay. What works in alignment with your body and life right now is the key. So eating all the foods you love in the correct portions for your body, not everyone else. I mean, you're not eating some menu that I'll do that, but I hate that food. Okay. That leads to subconscious programming of eventually your mind saying, I don't like this. Eventually, what do? You go off to the wayside, you quit doing it, and you wonder why you quit. It's because you didn't like the food you're eating. Strength focused training for your age, working on underlying issues associated with perimenopause. My coaching is 50-50. It's on the physical and it's on the mental aspect. You have got to, at this age, work on the mental underlying issues that are caused by this age group of perimenopause leading up to it. All kind of things I could go into for time purposes. I won't. Your body, if you can see my fist here, and here's your mind. Your body can lose weight, but if your mind doesn't go with this and it stays back here, the body will always come back. You've got to move those two together, okay? Learning to regulate stress instead of ignoring it to keep cortisol levels down so you lose belly fat. And there is a system I coach on how to do that. Weekly adjustments, okay? That's a big one. As you navigate through the new approach needed to lose belly fat and start feeling like you again. It's not here you go, here's the PDF and good luck to you. Weekly, you have to meet and make adjustments on sleeping times and this and that and foods and categories. It's got to be adjusted till we find an even keel that works for your body. Learn to love yourself in the process, to be okay putting yourself first, not feel ashamed or selfish. This is a big one. My clients will tell you we work on almost weekly. Self-care, self-love. Number one thing I ask is, what do you do for yourself in regards to self-care, self-love daily? Most people don't have an answer. It's because women are just instinctively designed to put everybody else first. I'll take care of me when my kid goes to college. I'll do it when my kid does this or when I'm an empty nester. It's always putting yourself on the back burner. And ladies, I'm going to tell you, you do that long enough, something's going to rear its head based on the visceral fat and tiredness that's going to break you down to where you can't serve all those people first anymore. Okay. Way before your time. I've seen it a million times. Putting yourself first, women feel shameful. Oh man, that's selfish of me. I should be doing this for my husband, my kids, my job, all that kind of stuff. You've got to, and that would be my job, is to put yourself first. Why? So that you can be amazing to all those other areas. If you're at the top of your game and you're feeling great, you're going to help all those people that you feel like you're being selfish by not putting yourself first. It's the old saying, if the airplane starts to go down and crash, what do they tell you to do? You put your oxygen mask on first and then your children. If you're a parent, that is counterintuitive to what we believe, but it makes sense. If I put oxygen on them and then I pass out, I can't take care of my kids. It's the same way with anything else in your life, that you continue to put yourself on the back burner and break yourself down and not take care of yourself. But easier said than done. It's not an overnight thing. Learning to love yourself in the process is a big key of what I do, and I feel is very important for your long-term sustainable success. So let's be clear on this. It's not one magic fix like it used to be. Used to grab you a keto, do intermittent fasting, don't eat, just eat. I'm always amazed about intermittent fasting. It's basically like it's always been. You just don't eat one time a day. Exercise more. Let me go run. All these things. It's how everything works together to support your hormones. Okay. This has got to be the takeaway here, is you have to support your estrogen decline, your hormones, and just this new era of your life. And it doesn't have to be sad. It can be rejuvenating. You can find new life, new excitement, and just everything going back to, what would I say? You actually feel like yourself again. And this is the piece most women are missing, is this part right here. They're still looking for the one fix. And there's really not one out there. So why a coach matters. Yes, I am shamelessly talking to you about me. It helps solve your problems and get from A to Z faster than trying to do it yourself. Okay. You have a lot going on. You got most of you're doing the kid thing, you're married, your job, all like that. Do you have all the information you need? Sure. It's all out there. It's putting it together from a formula based on 4.5 decades of actually coaching women to take you there quicker from A to Z. Quicker as in not weight loss, but actually learning to love yourself and all the things that you're unfamiliar with in this phase of life. Most people that have the struggle seek out guidance from a coach. Most people are these days, I know so many, probably 9 out of 10 people are in some kind of the therapy. They're going to a counselor. It could be for marriage. It could be for anxiety. It could be for depression. You seek out a coach for all those areas, but I will tell you, some women in this area, it's back to the pride, and I know what to do, and I should know how to do this, and this is my fault. That is farthest from the truth. You're in an era of confusion. You don't know how to do this now because no one is out there teaching you this. They're all teaching how to do it when you're younger, okay? And all that stuff doesn't work anymore. Coaching is not, I want to be clear, no matter who it is you seek out, it's not yelling motivation. Okay, that's not what this is about. A generic plan doesn't work anymore in perimenopause. A workout not designed for your age and the needs you have during this phase of life. And here's a PDF and good luck approach. Okay, doesn't work anymore. This is what I help women do. Why coaching? What coaching is: understanding your perimenopause physiology, removing the guesswork for you. I do make you think, but removing the guesswork and narrowing the topics down. Designing specific meal plans based on foods you love that will work with your body in the correct portions. Giving your workouts you can do from home. Okay, most people just after COVID don't want to go work out somewhere. It's not like it used to be. Specifically that work with your body, by the way. These are designed workouts. Meet with you weekly to make adjustments in real time based on what your body's doing. Working with you to keep you out of stress mode. By the way, I put everything together to work with your life as it is right now. And a lot of my clients come to the table weekly with a stressful situation, and we work on talking it down and putting it in perspective. Helping you to love yourself in the process and be okay putting yourself first and not feeling ashamed or selfish. Working on underlying issues that are associated with women going through perimenopause. Here's the outcome: reduce belly fat. That's the big one. Sleep better, restore energy. Most importantly, start feeling like yourself again. So if this feels different, it finally makes some sense, and I hope I did a good job in making this make a little bit of sense to you. I accomplished what I set out to do today. Clarity replaces frustration, and that in itself, I hope, makes you feel better. Seriously, clarity. Okay, that was a lot, but it makes sense now that I'm not broken. It's not my fault, and I'm not trying hard enough. That's what I want you to take away more than anything else today. The truth is, most women already have enough information. What they don't have is integration. And integration is what changes everything. Okay. And you can relate to that outside of this. Integration, gets you there on a faster track. If you're sitting there thinking this finally makes some kind of sense, this explains why nothing worked. This feels different, and I hope it does. It's not an accident. It's exactly what I help women do and have been for decades. I help women in perimenopause reduce belly fat, sleep better, get their energy back, and feel like themselves again by working with their body instead of against it. And if you want help putting this together for your body, I'll show you how to take the next step. And my next step, a lot of my clients on here will tell you, I do what's called a 10-minute discovery call. It's kind of a weird word, but it is. I do a 10-minute call just to find out what's going on with you, where you're at, where you want to go, and if I can even help you or not. And after this presentation, I want everyone, if you're not a client, if you want to stay on here and talk to me for a minute, I am doing 10-minute calls today. Exactly, they're just 10 minutes. We just talk about you, I get information, and then we can go from there on a separate call if we feel like it's a fit for both of us.